You feel utterly abandoned, but you are actually being hidden. There is a specific, brutal tension that doesn't get addressed enough in modern faith. A season where the phone stops ringing, the invitations dry up, and the people you thought would be there suddenly scatter. Everyone tells you that isolation is a by premature exposure. You tell yourself that if you are walking through the wilderness, you must have taken a wrong turn. You think you've committed some unpardonable mistake that disqualified you from the community and the momentum you used to enjoy. But by the end of our time together today, you will understand exactly why God cleared the room and how to stop fighting the solitary process so you can finally step into what He is actually preparing behind the locked door.
Reason 1, detach you from applause. It's 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and you're sitting on the edge of your bed, the blue light of your phone illuminating your face as you endlessly
end is the only thing keeping you from ruining your own future. God will risk your temporary offense to secure your permanent transformation. Reason 4. Sever wrong allegiances. You find yourself staring blankly at the contacts list on your phone, scrolling through dozens of names and coming to the chilling realization that there is absolutely nobody you can call right now who would truly understand the weight you are carrying. It feels like relational bankruptcy. Proverbs 13:20 warns, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." The enemy whispers in these moments of vulnerability that if you lose your inner circle, you will lose your safety in your future. But the real tragedy wouldn't be losing these comfortable friends. It would be keeping them and completely missing your calling because you stayed tied to people who were committed to your past. We call this a heartbreaking season of loss. God calls it a surgical extraction. He isolates you to sever the ties with people who only loved the version of you that they could manipulate. Stop initiating contact for one full week with that one specific relationship you know deep down is draining your spiritual vitality. Comfort keeps you tethered, but pruning sets you free. Let me tell you about someone who profoundly understood the crushing weight of the darkroom. The great preacher Charles Spurgeon, despite speaking to thousands of people every week, suffered from such debilitating depression that he frequently had to flee London and retreat to the quiet mountains of Mentone, France, away from every single face he knew. He once wrote, "My spirits were sunken so low that I could weep by the hour like a child, and yet I knew not what I wept for." Which brings us to reason 5.
Memorize one specific scripture of defense this week that you can speak out loud into the empty room when the walls start to close in on your mind. The crowd offers you camouflage, but the wilderness gives you a sword. Even the greatest prophets struggled the entire power dynamic of Elijah's life flips. He suddenly realizes that the deafening noise of his previous public victories had actually been masking his absolute inability to handle the quiet intimacy of God's actual voice. Elijah slowly stands up, walks to the mouth of the cave, and wraps his heavy cloak tightly over his face. He stops demanding a fiery spectacle and finally surrenders to the stillness. We read in 1 Kings 19 that it was in the whisper that God gave him his next assignment. Stop asking God to give you a burning bush or a sign he lived in the wilderness until he appeared publicly to Israel. The true hidden purpose of the wilderness wasn't to keep you trapped in the dark forever. It was to ensure that when you finally leave it, you are completely immune to the fickle opinions of men. The enemy desperately wants you to panic and break out of the darkroom prematurely, kicking the door down because you can't handle the waiting, which would permanently ruin the image God is meticulously developing. Out loud, right where you are sitting, thank God for the very door He closed in your face last year. Premature exposure ruins the image, but patient development reveals the masterpiece. Applause creates performers, but isolation creates prophets. Visibility builds your ego, but obscurity builds your endurance. Noise gives you distraction, but silence gives you direction. Comfort keeps you tethered, but pruning sets you free. Hustle earns you burnout, but surrender earns you restoration. Idolatry gives you a false ceiling, but isolation forces you to look at the sky. The crowd offers you camouflage, but the wilderness gives you a sword. Spectacle demands your applause, but intimacy demands your presence. Premature exposure ruins the image, but patient development reveals the masterpiece. First, your isolation is not an accident. It is an incredibly precise divine appointment. Second, the heavy silence of God in your life right now is not the absence of God. It is the deep
meticulous work of the developer preparing you for the light. And the third thing that stays with me most is this: when the door to the darkroom finally unlocks and you step out into your calling, you will no longer crave the applause of the room, because you will already possess the unshakable approval of the Creator. If you know someone who feels completely abandoned right now and thinks God has forgotten them in the dark, send them this today. Pick the one reason from this list that hit you the hardest. Just one. Tell me which one in the comments, and while you were there, write these 4 words: Lord, develop me in the dark. And if you are ready to stop fighting the wilderness and start understanding how God uses it to build you, subscribe to the channel so we can keep walking through this together. Hosea 2:14 contains a promise that changes how we view the solitary places forever. God says, "Therefore, I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. You have not ruined anything. You have not been disqualified. You are not forgotten in the shadows. The red light is still on. The door is still locked for your own protection. The image of who you are meant to be is still actively developing in the quiet." Take a deep breath, stop trying to force the lock, and let Him finish the work.